Hi everyone, this video I'm going to talk about Neptune transits. Okay, so at the moment Neptune is in the sign of Pisces and it's around 6 degrees of Pisces at the moment. So mostly I'm going to talk about the difficult aspects because I've been through some of them myself, and also I'm going to talk about, for people that are Pisces, how a Neptune transit, so Neptune in Pisces, will be conjuncting any Pisces placements that you have. So especially if it's your sun in Pisces, your moon in Pisces, or your rising in Pisces. If you're a sun Pisces person and your birthday is before March 1st, definitely pay attention to this because you'll be experiencing this energy the most at the moment. If your birthday is around March 1st or just after March 1st, you're probably around 10 degrees of Pisces sun, so you're probably looking at next year, on and off next year, Neptune will be affecting you if you're around the 1st of March, and then and around that date. And if you're a later Pisces, it's going to be after 2016, so 2017 onwards. So we'll just focus for this video on people being affected by Neptune transits now, and also if you find this video after this date, I will talk about general effects of Neptune Square Transits, so Neptune Square Sun and Mercury, and I'll talk about Neptune opposite Sun. So for Virgos as well, Neptune would be opposing your Sun, and that's early Virgos as well. And I'm going to talk about Neptune conjunct Ascendant as well. So yeah. Firstly, let's talk about Neptune conjunct Ascendant. If you've got this transit, so say you're a Pisces rising, you're becoming more sensitive in a lot of ways. You might be opening up psychically, opening up spiritually. You might find that your life is going to go through a period of some quite significant change. It can be confusing at times. I mean, it's a typical energy of Neptune, can be confusion. So you might be going through a time of transition where you're sort of leaving behind an old you, and it can affect how you feel in terms of your identity, because the rising sign is your identity. So there can be a real dissolving energy with Neptune. There can be, with the darker side of Neptune, addictions, neurosis, confusion, and confusion about your path if it's your ascendant being affected. And also you do have to watch your health, because I've noticed with the Neptune transits to the ascendant that there can, and even if it's a square to your ascendant, a square or conjunction, you can become very sensitive to chemicals all of a sudden. So chemicals in food, water, environment, things like, products that you use for your body, like lotions, shampoos. You might start going all organic with things because you're becoming more sensitive. You need to be careful with things like medication when you have Neptune affecting your ascendant, because that's a harsh aspect from Neptune, not necessarily a trine aspect, obviously, or a sextile, but more the hard aspects. So just be careful with your health if you have Neptune affecting your ascendant, because you are becoming more sensitive. And for some reason, I've noticed that when people have Neptune on their ascendant, they suddenly find themselves exposed to chemicals where they might not have been before. So be careful with any drugs that you take, like for, illnesses, or for hospital stays, things like that. There needs to be, care taken if you're allergic to things, because sudden allergies can come up where there were no allergies before. You'll find that with Neptune on your ascendant, you need to be careful about your energy levels. So taking care of yourself is important. You might have more demands on you in some way, and when I say demands, it could be to do with other people. So with the Neptune energy, there's this word sacrifice, and sometimes when Neptune affects your ascendant, you are sacrificing your ego to help other people, or to do something that has a higher purpose to it. Is part of your spiritual purpose, but it means that your ego is taking a bit of a back seat sometimes. With a conjunction, it can be a mixed bag of things that happen because it's a conjunction. So if you are a Pisces rising, Pisces moon or Pisces sun, and you have Neptune conjunct those placements, you may find that you have some good things happen in your life, some really amazing things, some inspiring spiritual things that help you grow and evolve. So there'll be positive things as well, but you also have to watch anything where there's deception, negative Neptunian influences like too much escapism or feeling like a victim. That's another aspect of Neptune. Or feeling lost, lost at sea, so to speak, in life, or feeling like you're not as motivated as you used to be. These can be all influences from Neptune. Also, people can feel really, really confused, like they're going a little bit crazy when they have Neptune transits. With the harsh ones, like the Neptune Square Sun, Neptune Square Moon, Neptune Square Mercury, these ones are pretty difficult. And I've had Neptune Square Sun and Neptune Square Mercury. For me personally, what I went through with those transits, I had the Neptune affecting my Sun and Mercury from the time that I fell pregnant with my son, about 4 years ago now, so 4.5 years ago. And what I found was very Neptunian experiences. So I found that I was more isolated. I was used to being out in the workforce and socializing so much more, and I was home with a baby. I was like sequestered away in this little bubble, and Neptune can do that. Influences can somehow affect your life where you find that you're more isolated, or you're more alone, or you have more time on your own, and you kind of are a lot more sensitive with Neptune transits. So you'll be feeling like that might be a good thing for you, that you're pulling away, and you're in this sort of little bubble of a world. And it can happen like, often mothers, they're having their first child, and they're home a lot. It can often coincide with a Neptune transit. Being pregnant, you have to sort of surrender control, and trust a lot. And that's a real Neptunian theme, is trust. So for me, that was my situation. I was home with the baby and extremely sleep deprived. I think I was sleep deprived for about 2.5 years with my son. Tried everything. He just wasn't the best sleeper, but wonderful in every other way, but just not the best sleeper. So I was extremely sleep deprived, and Neptune transits can do that, where you feel like your mind is a bit clouded. And my mind was certainly clouded, a little bit, because of the fact that I was sleep deprived. I found that I would forget, like my short-term memory was affected, and I never had problems with my memory. I mean, my long-term memory was amazing, but short-term memory, like what I did yesterday, I would be like, what did I do 2 days ago? I just couldn't remember. And that is such a theme with Neptune, where your mind can get affected in that way. It is temporary, but you might want to look at how to look after your health in a more proactive way, so that you don't suffer in that way, because you can suffer a little bit in the Neptune transits. That is another key word. But also you do need to watch for people experiencing the lower energy of Neptune, things like addictions, deception from other people, especially if it's an opposition. So say you got Neptune opposite Sun, or Neptune opposite your Mars or Venus. You do have to watch for having an idealistic perception of people that might not be as accurate to reality. So, wearing rose-colored glasses, for example. But on the positive side, Neptune can bring you a lot of really spiritual experiences. It can open you up psychically, so you can become a lot more intuitive. You can learn to trust your intuition more, because you are in sort of more of a bubble where you may not be living your life as externally as you once were previously to the Neptune transit. So I just also want to just give a bit of a reassuring message to people, because I know that some people experiencing the conjunction, especially if it's your sun sign, your moon sign, that you can feel a little bit like you're going a little bit crazy, that you can feel very isolated, alone, lonely, in your own world. And you may feel really sensitive, like if you're someone that has to go to a 9-to-5 job, you may find that you just have days where you just want to be under the covers and just watching a movie, or being by yourself. And if you are someone that has heavy Neptune transits and does need to do a lot of external things like 9-to-5 job, you're going to need extra time to yourself to really nurture yourself and self-reflect, read spiritual books, read uplifting books, watch inspiring movies. That's the positive side of Neptune. So there's things that you can do when you have Neptune transits that help you, like spending time in nature, being by the water, watching, as I said, spiritual uplifting movies, reading great books that inspire you, tapping into your spirituality and your intuition, all these things. I mean, for me, when I had my Neptune transits, which coincided with pregnancy and obviously having a young child, my intuition opened up to a new level, which I found really, really interesting, and actually allowed me to go into the work that I'm doing now. Previous to that, I've always done art, and I was always an artist, but it's interesting because with Neptune there's also an ego death, so that's what I call it. It's like a part of your identity has to sort of die away, but it actually makes room for something better, I feel. So, you know, if you have a square aspect, you can feel like you kind of don't know yourself for a time while you go through this transitional period, but it is just a transition. And Neptune transits is, you know, are slower moving, so Neptune's a slower moving planet, so the transits can go over a long period of time, you know. Well, it can be on the degree where it's exactly on your placement for, you know, a few months at a time. So it's, and then it can go off, and if it goes retrograde, it goes back on. So yeah, do be aware with Neptune transits that it's very subtle sometimes, and you might not even notice at first that much, but it actually creeps up on you. So just be aware that it might be something that's kind of under the surface that you're not seeing going on in your world, and it can be to do with your health, it can be anything, it can be environmental. I mean, it depends where you know what Neptune's contacting in your chart and what house. So look to the house as to what the influence will be. If it's your 4th house, there could be issues with your home, there could be plumbing issues, there could be sudden leaks, there can be problems with, well, it's Neptune in Pisces, so it could be problems with addiction with someone that you live with. You know, there's negative escapism going on. There can be a whole raft of things that it could be. But as I said, to focus on the positive Neptunian things, which is developing your intuition, trusting in what you're going through, because you have a bit less control in your life at this time when you've got Neptune transits. You have to let go and trust that the process that you're in is a valid process, part of your life, and it's not something where you feel like you're really pushing forward and blazing a trail in an amazing way, unless of course you've got other supportive transits like Jupiter transits and other positive transits helping you along the way. That could still happen. So if you're a creative person and you're following your dreams at this time, you could still have great things that happen, but just be aware of the darker side of Neptune at the same time. So that was mostly with the difficult stuff. Neptune trines are really positive, and they do have a bit of a downside, which is you feel a bit less motivated. But if you have Neptune trine Moon, Neptune trine Sun, these transits are very different. They can bring a really strong idealism to your life, and you can meet soulmates at this time. You can meet the love of your life at this time. You can meet lifelong friends, people that you have a really deep connection with when you have trines from Neptune. So like if you have Neptune trine Venus, you might meet some really great friends or have really positive associations with women or with your relationships. There'll be fated connections, destined, you know, connections with people. And you'll feel, when you, even with a Neptune trine, you'll feel more dreamy and more creative. So you might be going through a creative time in your life with a Neptune trine transit. And just watch for your motivation, as I said, because even with a trine, you'll feel a bit like you just want to dream, you just want to enjoy things that are really Neptunian. So you might be wanting to watch a lot of movies, you might be reading a lot of books, you might be feeling really creative, painting, drawing. You also might be helping people as well, because again the element of sacrifice comes in. So you may be drawn to help people a lot more than you normally do in some way. So I think the Neptune trine is quite magical, and it brings like an element of a magical sort of quality with you know, your daily life in some way. So that's something to look forward to if you have Neptune trine, and it can definitely soften that placement. So if you say you've got a Scorpio moon, and that can be quite a, for a male, it can be quite a hard moon sign where your emotions can be quite closed off. If you've got Neptune trine your moon, it can soften you a little bit and make you have more spiritual experiences, more emotionally connecting experiences with people, just as an example. So that was pretty much all I want to say for the Neptune transits. If you have any other transit videos that you'd like me to do, please post below. And if you have Neptune transits yourself and you want to understand them more, if you have questions, post below. I'll try to get to answer the, you know, if people post. do my best to answer those. And yeah, that was pretty much all. I hope that helped. Thanks so much for watching.